Coxeter Groups, Lecture 12, the longest element. Let us recall the Brouillard order on Coxeter Groups and the lifting property. So let W, S be a Coxeter system, and let the less than or equal to in this form denote the Brouillard order on W. So this means the following. An element x is Brouillard less than or equal to some other element y, if and only if x has a reduced expression that is a subword of some reduced expression of y. We had the notion of the left descent set of an element in W. So the left descent set of an element little w consists of all elements S in S, such that the length of S times W is strictly smaller than the length of W. And now we can recall the lifting property. That's the following statement. Let U and W be two elements in W, such that U is Brouillard smaller than W. Let S be an element in capital S, such that S belongs to the left descent set of W, but it does not belong to the left descent set of U. In this situation, SW is Brouillard smaller than W, and U is Brouillard smaller than SU, by definitions. But then we additionally have that U is Brouillard less than or equal to SW, and SU is Brouillard less than or equal to W. Now, let's draw some consequences, and the first one is about directedness of our poset. Recall that a poset P with the partial order less than or equal to is called directed, provided that for any elements x, y in P, there is an element z in P such that z is greater than or equal to x, and at the same time z is greater than or equal to y. So for each pair of elements there is an upper bound. Proposition: let W, S be a Coxeter system. Then W, with respect to the Brouillard order, is a directed poset. Proof: so we check the condition in the definition of the directed poset using the induction on lengths of x plus lengths of y. So if both lengths of x and lengths of y are 0, then x is equal to y and is the identity element, so we can obviously take as z the identity element. If the length of x plus the length of y is strictly positive, then without loss of generality we may assume that the length of x is strictly positive. Then this means that there is a simple reflection S such that the length of Sx is smaller than the length of x. So S belongs to the left descent set of x. By induction, now the length of Sx is strictly smaller, so there is an element z in W which is Brouillard greater than or equal to Sx, and which is Brouillard greater than or equal to y. So here we use the inductive assumption. And now we consider the element Sz. There are two possibilities. The first possibility, the length of Sz is strictly greater than the length of that. In this case, by subword property, we have that Sz is Brouillard greater than or equal to x, and also Sz is Brouillard greater than or equal to y. So we have our upper bound. If the length of Sz is strictly smaller than the length of that, then we look at the pair Sx, which is Brouillard less than or equal to z. And now we have an element S, which is in the left descent set of z, but which is not in the left descent set of Sx. And so we have that x is Brouillard less than or equal to z by the lifting property. And we already have that y is Brouillard less than or equal to z by induction, so we again have our upper bound. And this completes our proof. Now we can define the main protagonist for today's lecture, the longest element. So let us assume that our Coxeter system W, S is such that W is finite. Then, from the directedness of W, it follows immediately that our poset W with respect to the Brouillard order has the maximum element, because any pair of elements has something which is greater than both. So this maximum element with respect to the Brouillard order is usually denoted by W0. And for any element x in W, by the subword property, we have that x has a reduced expression, which is a subword of some reduced expression of W0. In particular, the length of any element in our Coxeter group W is less than or equal to the length of W0. So W0 is the unique element of maximal possible lengths. So this is why it is usually called the longest element in W. For example, consider the symmetric group Sn on the set 1, 2, and so on n. As usual, we denote the set by n underlined. This is a Coxeter group with respect to simple reflections given by elementary transpositions. So we have Si, which swaps I and I plus 1, and here I ranges between 1 and n minus 1. The length of a permutation pi is the number of inversions, that is, pairs I smaller than j between 1 and n, such that pi of I is greater than pi of j. And the longest element, the element of maximal possible lengths, is when we write all elements from 1 to n in the opposite order. So in one-line notation, that's a permutation n minus 1, n minus 2, and then all the way down to 1. So for this element, any pair I, j is an inversion, and so the length of this element is n times n minus 1 divided by 2. The longest element admits an interesting characterization using the descent sets. Proposition: if W is finite, then the left descent set of W0 is the whole set S. Conversely, if W contains some element little w, such that the left descent set of this element is the whole S, then W is finite, and our little w is actually the longest element W0. Proof: if W is finite and S is in S, then the length of SW0 is smaller than the length of W0, since W0 is the longest element. So this means that S belongs to the left descent set, and one direction of our proposition is established. Conversely, let W be an element in big W whose left descent set is the whole of S. So we prove that any element U in W is Brouillard less than or equal to our W by induction on the length of U. The basis that the identity is less than or equal to W is, of course, clear. So now for the induction step, let U be an element in W and S be an element in S, such that the length of SU is greater than the length of U. From the inductive assumption, we know that U is Brouillard less than or equal to our element W. And further, we have our simple reflection S. It is in the left descent set of little w, and it is not in the left descent set of U. So by the lifting property, we have that SU is Brouillard less than or equal to W. And this means that all elements in W are Brouillard less than or equal to our little w, which by the subword property means that W is finite, and moreover, since little w must also be Brouillard greater than or equal to the longest element W0 in our finite W, they should coincide by the subword property. And this completes the proof of our proposition. Let us discuss some other properties of the longest element. Property 1. The longest element squared is the identity. Proof: take a reduced expression of W0 and reverse it, you get a reduced expression for W0 inverse, but the length is preserved. But since the longest element is unique, we get that W0 is equal to W0 inverse. Property 2. The length of UW0 is equal to the length of W0 minus the length of U for any element U in W. Proof: Starting from any element u in W, whose left descent set is not the whole of S, we take S, which is not in the left descent set of U, and we get SU such that the length of SU is equal to the length of U plus 1. So you can start with U, multiply it with some S, and get a longer element. And now we can proceed inductively, and we eventually hit W0 in a finite number of steps, so that at each step we increase the length exactly by 1. But this means that W0 has a reduced expression whose suffix is our fixed reduced expression of U. And similarly for the prefix. So W0 has a reduced expression which starts with a reduced expression of any element which we start with, or its inverse. And when we use this property, we immediately get this equality in the formulation of property 2. Property 3. If we look at the set of all reflections which, using left multiplication, decrease the lengths of UW0, this is equal to the set of all reflections minus the set of all reflections which decrease the lengths of U for any U in W. Proof: if we have a reflection T and U in W, then property 2 implies that the length of TU is smaller than the length of U if and only if the length of TUW is greater than the length of UW0. And that's exactly the formulation of our property. If we apply this to the element U is equal to the identity, we get that the length of W0 equals the cardinality of the set of all reflections. So, proof: from property 3, for U is equal to the identity, we have that the set of all reflections which make W0 smaller is equals to T. And we know that the length of any element is the cardinality of the set of all reflections which make this element smaller by left multiplication. So this gives us property 4. And property 5 is just property 2 on the other side. The length of W0U is equal to the length of W0 minus the length of U for any U in W. So this is just obtained from property 2 by using the involution which maps an element to its inverse. Here is the consequence. For any element U in W, the length of W0 UW0 is equal to the length of U. This we just combine properties 2 and 5 and immediately get this assertion. Corollary 2. The map which sends X to XW0 is an anti-automorphism of the poset of W with respect to the Breuer order. And here we just combine property 2 with the subword property. Corollary 3. On the other side, the map which sends X to W0X is an anti-automorphism of W with respect to the Breuer order. So here we combine property 5 with the subword property to get this. And finally, the map which sends X to W0XW0 is an automorphism of W with respect to the Breuer order. So here this is just corollaries 2 and 3 combined. Here is an example. In the symmetric group Sn, the map which maps X to XW0 reverses the places in the permutation. So if we have a permutation 4, 1, 5, 2, 3, that's just one line notation, and we reverse the places, we get 3, 2, 5, 1, 4. This is how this anti-automorphism works. Multiplication with W0 on the left reverses the values in a permutation. So 4, 1, 5, 2, 3 goes to 2, 5, 1, 4, 3 using this map. And the map which takes X and outputs W0, XW0, it reverses both the values and the places. So it maps 4, 5, 1, 2, 3 to the permutation 3, 4, 1, 5, 2. So this map, which inputs X and outputs W0, XW0, that's an automorphism of W with respect to the Breuer order. In fact, it's an automorphism of the whole Coxeter structure. So we know that W0 square is the identity, and this means that the map which takes X and goes to W0 x W0 is an inner automorphism of W. But we also know that conjugation by W0 sends simple reflections to simple reflections. So this map induces an automorphism of the whole Coxeter structure, so of the Coxeter system, Coxeter diagram, and Coxeter matrix. For instance, in the case of Sn, this map sends Si to the simple reflection Sn minus I. So there should be Sn minus I. So S1 goes to Sn minus 1, S2 goes to Sn minus 2, and so on. And this corresponds to the unique non-trivial automorphism of the Coxeter diagram. Our Coxeter diagram is a segment. We can reverse the segment. Additional problems and questions at the end. Problem question 1. Determine explicitly the longest element in the signed symmetric group with respect to the elementary transpositions and the change of sign at 1. Problem question 2. Prove that the map X goes to W0 x W0 is the identity for the signed symmetric group. Problem question 3. Verify that the length of W0 is equal to the cardinality of the set of all reflections, both for Sn and for the signed symmetric group. Problem question 4. Describe the combinatorics of the map which sends X to XW0 for the signed symmetric group. And problem question 5. Describe the combinatorics of the map which sends X to W0x for the signed symmetric group. Thank you very much and see you next time.